Episode 11 of Perfect Crown opens with a gripping flashback revealing how Prince Ian ended up inside the council hall, moments before the devastating explosion. Unbeknownst to him, Jongwoo had secretly summoned him there. As tension rises, Haejung receives alarming news that Yi-hoon plans to enter the throne hall alongside Prince Ian, prompting her to urgently fetch the king before disaster strikes. Back in the present, chaos erupts as flames consume the building, but Huiju fearlessly rushes into the inferno to save Ian. Hearing her desperately call his name, Ian weakly wishes for her to escape before it's too late. However, the smoke overpowers him, and he collapses unconscious. Refusing to abandon him, Huiju struggles to drag him to safety until Choi-yun arrives just in time, charging through the flames to help rescue the prince. Watching everyone return alive leaves Haejung overwhelmed with relief, especially for Choi-yun's safety. When she later expresses her gratitude, Choi-yun finally realizes that her feelings for him run deeper than concern, and he gently reassures her that the tragedy was never her fault. Meanwhile, fear spreads through the palace as Yi-rang anxiously tries to understand the unfolding chaos. Her worries deepen when Yi-hoon bursts in, shaken and in tears over the fire and his uncle's condition. On the other hand, Prince Ian falls into a mild coma after the incident, but Huiju refuses to leave his side. Choosing to care for him within the safety of their chambers, she remains devotedly beside him, telling Court Lady Jin-suk that saving Ian was only natural, because he would have done the very same for her. Tension reaches a breaking point when Jongwoo suddenly rushes in, but instead of showing concern for the unconscious Prince Ian, his attention is entirely fixed on Huiju. Frustrated and emotional, he demands to know how much longer he must watch her risk her life for another man. His reaction leaves Huiju unsettled, sensing that something about him no longer feels right. Her suspicions only deepen when Haejung reveals a shocking truth. Prince Ian had gone to the council hall that night because Jongwoo himself had called for the meeting. As the night grows quieter, Huiju remains beside her unconscious husband, unable to shake the fear that nowhere is truly safe for him anymore. Meanwhile, Jongwoo refuses to provide any statement regarding the fire until Prince Ian regains consciousness, making his behavior appear even more suspicious. Determined to uncover the truth, Huiju immediately orders a full investigation into the incident. She commands her people to track everyone who entered and left the council hall over the past month, refusing to let a single detail slip by. When it comes to questioning the royal court staff, Huiju boldly decides to seek permission from Yi-rang herself. But this is no longer the timid Huiju from before. This time she confronts Yi-rang directly, fearlessly revealing the suspicions she has been hiding, setting the stage for an explosive clash within the palace. Yi-rang is visibly shaken when Huiju suddenly pours out the tea that had been served to her, a bold gesture that carries both suspicion and warning. Without hesitation, Huiju tells her to fully cooperate with the investigation, or risk becoming a suspect herself. The unexpected confrontation leaves Yi-rang completely caught off guard. Still, her concern for Prince Ian outweighs everything else, and despite her unease, she reluctantly agrees to assist with the investigation. After their tense meeting, Huiju is alarmed upon learning that Jongwoo is waiting inside her chambers. Panic flashes across her face as she rushes back, desperate to make sure Prince Ian is still safe. Even while fear consumes her, she forces herself to remain composed as Haejung quietly explains that the royal physicians still have no idea when the prince will regain consciousness. Later, Huiju escorts Jongwoo out and tries to brush off her growing distrust by blaming her nervousness on the recent tragedy. However, her suspicions deepen when she asks about his missing rosary. Jongwoo casually claims that it only interferes with his work, but his answer does little to calm her doubts. Beyond the palace walls, dangerous rumors begin spreading throughout the kingdom that the fire may have already claimed Prince Ian's life. As chaos and uncertainty grow, Da-young and Taeju desperately attempt to contact Huiju, but she ignores every call and message. Instead, she chooses to remain at Prince Ian's bedside, refusing to leave him even for a moment, as though her presence alone could keep him alive. As rumors about Prince Ian's possible death continue spreading across the kingdom, Jongwoo wastes no time taking advantage of the growing uncertainty. The following day, he secretly meets with Yi-rang and pressures her to step forward as the next regent. Though his words are carefully chosen, the threat behind them is impossible to ignore. Yi-rang firmly refuses, but Jongwoo pushes harder, insisting that she has a responsibility to protect both the crown and the nation, even if it means taking power herself. But before the conversation can go any further, the atmosphere suddenly changes. Prince Ian unexpectedly walks in alive and fully conscious, instantly silencing the tension in the room. Jong-woo can only hide his frustration as the prince calmly apologizes for causing everyone worry and announces that he is well enough to resume his royal duties. His sudden recovery destroys whatever plans Jong-woo may have been setting into motion. The moment Huiju hears that Ian has awakened, she rushes out in desperation to see him. But before she can reach him, Ian finds her first and immediately pulls her into a tight embrace. Though he initially tries to scold her for recklessly risking her life to save him from the fire, Huiju breaks down in tears, unable to hold back her emotions any longer. Seeing her cry only softens Ian's heart, and instead of continuing his lecture, he simply holds her closer and quietly apologizes, creating one of the most emotional moments between them so far. Meanwhile, Jong-woo's anger quietly simmers beneath the surface. Realizing that Prince Ian's survival has complicated everything, he secretly contacts Sung-won and orders him to tie up the loose ends. As he does, memories of his earlier conversation with the prince replay in his mind, especially Ian's confident claim that he was in perfect health, hinting that Jong-woo may already be preparing his next dangerous move. Later that night, as silence settles over the palace, Huiju carefully asks Prince Ian whether he truly trusts Jong-woo. Without hesitation, Ian answers yes, making it even harder for her to reveal the growing suspicions weighing heavily on her heart. Torn between protecting her husband and accusing someone he deeply trusts, Huiju chooses to stay silent. For now. The next day, the palace announces the arrest of a royal guard connected to the recent arson attack. However, both Ian and Huiju quickly sense that something feels wrong. The case seems to have been wrapped up far too quickly, almost as if someone is desperate to bury the truth before it can fully surface. Despite the lingering tension, Ian briefly finds comfort in spending time with his young nephew, whose fear and concern reveal how deeply the tragedy affected him. The child tearfully admits he was terrified Ian would suffer the same tragic fate as his father, creating a heartbreaking moment that reminds the prince how much his family still needs him. Elsewhere in the palace, Sung-won makes a critical mistake while speaking with Yi Rang, accidentally exposing himself as the one responsible for ordering the gas explosion. Horrified by the truth, Yi Rang finally refuses to obey him any longer. Determined to stop the cycle of manipulation and fear, she confides in Arium and vows to do whatever she can to protect her family, even if it means sacrificing herself. In a powerful turning point, Yi Rang personally meets with Prince Ian and finally confesses everything. She hands over the evidence Jong-woo has been using to blackmail her through her father's crimes, exposing the dark secrets that have kept her trapped all this time. Filled with guilt, Yi Rang begs the prince to punish both her and her father for their sins, but with tears in her eyes, she pleads for one thing above all else: spare Yi Yoon from the consequences of their actions. Prince Ian questions Yi Rang about why she suddenly fears him now, but her answer catches him off guard. She explains that it is not fear that drives her actions. It is her desperate attempt to protect both him and the crown from complete destruction. Even after confessing everything, Yi Rang remains prepared to face the consequences of her sins. When Ian warns her of the severe punishment awaiting both her and Sung-won, she accepts it without resistance, declaring that she is willing to endure anything if it means securing her son Yi Hoon's future. Meanwhile, Huiju takes matters into her own hands and confronts Jong-woo during a target shooting practice held in preparation for the upcoming hunting season announcement. Calm, yet intimidating, she offers to make the ceremonial announcement herself before subtly turning the conversation toward him. She questions why such a brutal hunting tradition continues to exist, and Jong-woo coldly answers that it is simply a necessary evil decided by the nation itself. But Huiju refuses to be intimidated. In a tense and symbolic moment, she briefly points her gun toward him and sarcastically brings up the conveniently arrested royal guard, making it clear that she no longer believes the official story behind the palace fire. Later that evening, Huiju receives a call from Prince Ian asking her to meet him at their private residence. When she arrives, she finds him already drunk, weighed down by the burden of leadership and the painful truth Yi Rang revealed. She quietly joins him as he opens up about his inner conflict, torn between justice and mercy as he struggles to decide how to punish Yi Rang and Sung-won for their crimes. Eventually, exhaustion overtakes him, and he falls asleep beside her. Watching him in that vulnerable state, Huiju cannot help but worry about his gentle heart, fearing that his compassion may become both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness in the dangerous battles ahead. The following day, Hope quietly returns to the royal family, as Yi Rang helps Yi Hoon deliver the final abdication request to Prince Ian. This time, they genuinely believe he may finally accept it, allowing the monarchy's painful cycle to come to an end. But while some seek peace, tension continues to rise behind palace walls. Inside his office, Prince Ian confronts Jongwoo regarding the poisoning case after secretly receiving Yi Rang's warning not to trust him. Realizing that suspicion is rapidly closing in on him, Jongwoo shifts tactics and reveals everything he knows about Sungwon. However, he carefully paints himself as someone who only concealed the truth to protect the crown from scandal and collapse. His words leave Prince Ian conflicted and emotionally torn. Ironically, he had expected Jongwoo to continue hiding the truth, not expose it himself. Despite his confusion, Prince Ian remains firm on one thing. Sungwon must answer for his crimes, no matter the consequences for the royal family. Then, in a shocking declaration, he tells Jongwoo that once he ascends the throne, he intends to abolish the monarchy entirely. The statement leaves Jongwoo visibly shaken. Desperate, he insists that Ian cannot simply seek freedom for himself after everything. But the prince calmly responds that the freedom he desires is not for him alone, for everyone trapped by the crown's power and corruption. Later, Jongwoo coldly walks past Huiju in the hallway, without even acknowledging her presence, making the atmosphere between them even more unsettling. Huiju immediately rushes to Prince Ian's side, anxiously asking whether he has finally confirmed his suspicions about Jongwoo. Unfortunately, Ian admits he is still uncertain, caught between trust, loyalty, and growing doubt. Meanwhile, Sungwon is officially arrested, sending shockwaves throughout the entire nation and throwing the royal family into chaos. As the weight of their family's downfall settles in, Yi Rang gently comforts Yeon and tells him that no matter what happens, he must trust Prince Ian. With tears and fear in her eyes, she urges her son to run to Ian whenever he feels afraid, knowing the storm surrounding the palace is far from over. Prince Ian visits Sungwon in prison and delivers a crushing truth. Yi Rang was the one who exposed him. He makes it clear that the future of both Yi Rang and Yi Hoon now rests entirely on how sincerely Sungwon repents for his crimes. Faced with the consequences of everything he has done, Sungwon finally realizes there is no escape left for him. The power and influence he once relied on can no longer save him from judgment. Meanwhile, Jongwoo secretly meets with members of the cabinet, urging them to do everything possible to stop Prince Ian from abolishing the monarchy. Desperate to preserve the institution he devoted his life to, Jongwoo begins treating the prince's decision as a direct threat to the nation itself. Not long after, Huiju pays Jongwoo a visit in his office, determined to confront him one last time. She questions why he hid Sungwon's crimes for so long, but he continues hiding behind the same justification, that he did it to protect the crown. The conversation soon shifts to Prince Yeon's shocking plan to abolish the monarchy. Jongwoo coldly reminds her that even a king cannot always get what he wants. But Huiju fires back with a question that completely changes the tone of the discussion. What if the monarchy itself is the necessary evil that must finally be destroyed? Jongwoo insists that such a decision belongs to the nation, not to one person alone, realizing they now stand on completely opposite sides. Huiju calmly but firmly declares that they can no longer walk the same path. From this point forward, they are enemies. A few days later, amidst grand music, royal traditions, and overwhelming emotion, Prince Ian officially ascends the throne in a breathtaking coronation ceremony. Yet, beneath the beauty and celebration lies a growing storm, because the new king is preparing to change the very foundation of the kingdom itself. Episode 11 of Perfect Crown was emotionally intense and filled with powerful turning points. What made the episode captivating was how every character was forced to choose between loyalty, power, love, and truth. Prince Ian's survival after the explosion brought relief, but it also exposed the deep corruption hidden inside the palace. Huiju truly stood out in this episode. She transformed from someone who quietly endured pain into a fearless woman willing to confront anyone, even Jongwoo, to protect the people she loves. Her scenes carried so much tension because she was no longer acting out of fear, but out of conviction. Meanwhile, Jongwoo became even more complex. His belief that the monarchy is a necessary evil showed how dangerous it can be when someone values an institution more than the people suffering under it. The coronation at and felt beautiful yet unsettling at the same time, because even as Ian became king, viewers could sense that his greatest battle was only beginning. One of the biggest lessons from this episode is that true leadership is not about holding on to power. It is about having the courage to do what is right, even when it comes with sacrifice. Prince Ian choosing justice over protecting the crown showed integrity, while Huiju demonstrated that love is not passive. Real love protects, questions, and fights for the truth. The episode also reminds us that hiding evil for the greater good only allows corruption to grow stronger. In many ways, the story reflects how people can become trapped by traditions, systems, or pride, believing they must preserve them at all costs. But sometimes, healing only begins when someone is brave enough to break harmful cycles. Just like Ian's dream of abolishing the monarchy, real change often starts with one person willing to challenge what everyone else accepts.